Hey, good evening, Gems and Gents. It is Natima Cherie, Queen Pen of Transparent Gemming and the Writer's Room, here with another episode of Behind the Pages Indie Author Impact Podcast. I almost didn't say that right tonight. How are y'all feeling? How are you doing? Welcome back to the platform. Welcome back to the show. I am so excited about tonight's guest. But before I bring her out, I always have to check in with y'all, see how you're doing. Are you continuing to write? Are you prioritizing your healing and how it is going? Make sure you drop in the comments if you are new here. For our new Gems and Gents, we just simply ask for a diamond. If you have an iPhone or an Android, you got a diamond in your emojis and your emoticons. So go ahead and drop that so we know that you're in the room. If you are a return gem or gent and you are always here when we air a new show, go ahead and drop the return symbol. Use that recycle that you are always coming back. We so appreciate your support as this platform continues to grow and champion authors. We always want to hear from you. Are you buying their books? Are you reading them? Are you liking them? Are you loving them? Make sure that you continue to stay connected with us even beyond each episode. We want to hear from you, and we want to hear how these authors are impacting your life. If you are an author, if you are about to become an author and you would like to have some support, put some support behind your project, put some momentum behind your publication, go ahead and connect with us. You can reach out at info@transparentgeminc.com, or you can visit transparentgeminc.com and learn more about how you can be featured on this show. This platform is all about championing you. We don't ask for nothing in return except for you to pay it forward and share a little bit about what we're doing over here. Speaking of, what are we doing over here? Well, coming up at the end of this month, we are launching our special series called the Writers Roundtable. I am so excited about this initiative. It's been on my heart for quite a while, and I finally had the audacity to launch it. And so it's going to premiere at the end of August, still Sunday, still 6 o'clock Eastern. But I'm going to be joined by some other literary ladies and some other influencers in this space. So make sure you join us the last Sunday in August. I believe it's the 26th at 6 p.m. Also, in October, we'll be hosting our very first info session for the Writer's Room. So if you are an experienced writer, an aspiring author, whatever it is that falls in that literary space, from beginner to expert, we want to hear from you. We want to share a little bit about the work we're doing here, and we hope that you will join us. You can register for free at transparentgeminc.com and learn more in October about all the great things that we're doing. All right, so I gave you all enough time to get in the room, to share this live, to drop some hearts, some gems, and some return symbols in the comments. If you are here to support tonight's guest, make sure you write in the comments and let her know, I'm here, girl. I'm here, sis. Let her know that you came out to celebrate her. Before I bring her out, though, I wrote a little bit of bio. I want to share the little bio I wrote on her. Before we welcome her, let me tell you a little bit about her. I am joined this evening by a woman whose life's work is a masterclass in the art of surrender and intentional growth. Dayo Banjo is an educator, a speaker, a certified personal development coach, and a voice for those learning to unlearn and become. She is a woman who knows that the pressures and uncertainties of life are not our end, but the catalyst for our true purpose. I am so honored to have her here today to discuss her journey, her faith, and her incredible book, Unraveling. Welcome to the show, Miss Dayo Banjo. Good evening.
Hi, Natima. How are you?
I am doing so good. I'm so glad you're here. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It is truly my pleasure. And so, look, can I just share with the people real quick? When Dayo reached out to me, I had my assistants respond and engage with her. We do a discovery call, if you will. And when we got on the call, she says, I don't know if you remember me, but we went to church together. And here's the thing. When Tiffany sent me her profile and her picture, I was like, she looks awfully familiar. She's very pretty, but I don't want to be that person who just assume you know everybody. Comes to find out, I knew this sister. I was like, I knew this energy. I felt so again, welcome. It's so great to reconnect and have you on the platform.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Truly my pleasure. So before we get started, I'd really love to give you the opportunity to reintroduce yourself and get our gems and gens acquainted with who you are from your point of view.
Awesome. So, hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, thank you, Natima, for having me. I am an educator. I've been in education for 18 years. And I am a mother, and I am newly an author. So I'm excited about this journey. But I'm also a personal development coach. And so I kind of mix all of it together and I put it in this book, Unraveling. And I'm just really excited to share my journey with you.
That is so amazing. I've noticed that there is I don't like the word trend and I hate trends, but I noticed that there is a pattern of women getting free and then taking their story to paper. Me personally, I love that. As a writer, as a narrative healing coach, as a storyteller, as just a book enthusiast, I absolutely love that we are leaving our legacies in literature. And so kudos to you for your journey, for your courage, for your strength to put it on the paper so that it would bless somebody else. Because it's easier for us to stay afraid, even though we've done the work. It's easy for us to stay afraid and not share it. So I love that you shared it. We're going to dive into the pages of your book. We're going to dive into the backstory of your journey. But before we do, I have a game that I love to play, and it's called I'd Write Those Pages. This is my own version of like an icebreaker. Can y'all tell I come from corporate? So this is my little icebreaker that I like to do. I'd write those pages. As an educator and a personal development coach, what is one recent cultural conversation or headline you've seen regarding finding your purpose that you feel needs a more grounded, faith-centered perspective?
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if it's most recent, but I just think about the work that I do as an educator, especially the specific work that I do right now. I feel like growing up, there's this conversation of what do you want to be when you get older, right? And then we don't we stop it there. You go to your 4-year university, college, trade, wherever you decide to go, and then you accomplish that. But then no one has the conversation about, well, what happens after that, right? Like we don't stay there. And so I think that we could really benefit from having a faith-based conversation about how purpose is not always about passion. It's not always about income. It's not always about your 4 or 5-year plan. Purpose really is about staying obedient to what God, has assigned you to do. So that's really like in my world, my most recent, just because in my state, the state of Maryland, there's a new initiative to make sure that, every child has their, 6-year plan, has a plan for what they're going to do after high school. And that's all great. And I'm happy that we're doing that. If we could invite faith into it, I would definitely invite the fact that this is not the end. It is a constant journey of who you are.
That is so good. I absolutely love that. And me being more recent and new to the education and higher ed space, we're actually reading a book as a team called Designing Your Life. And I love the concepts. I love the ideologies. I love the thought process that's driving this book and this narrative. But the only piece is it's not faith-based, right? There's no true North Star. It's almost as if we just make this stuff up as we go. And I would love if someone could take Purpose-Driven Life and this book, Designing Your Life, and just merge them together. I think it would be such a powerful message. So I absolutely love and completely agree and co-sign everything you just said. You guys drop in the comments, gems and gents. Tell us what trending narrative around purpose. I mean, we see all of these podcasts now and all of these spiritual influencers online that are talking about your purpose and your passion in life and leaving here fulfilled. What do you feel? What would you write about? What pages would you fill? And how would that look? All right, so let's dive into this interview. Are you ready, Dayo? Because I'm so ready. I'm so ready to learn more about this book. Excellent. So we're going to start with the segment called the title pages. This really is just the introduction to your story, your journey. It gives us a little bit of insight into why you wrote this book. As someone who wears so many hats, you shared with us that you're a mother, an educator, a coach, you're a woman. Hello, somebody. Okay, that in itself is work, right? When you look back at the table of contents of your own life, what was the chapter where you first realized that becoming was going to be a lifelong intentional process of unlearning rather than just a final destination, as you just mentioned?
So I believe that moment for me happened when I was promoted, and then the promotion was slipped away. And so in my book, I talk about how, I'm kind of chasing this educational corporate ladder. I believe that I was chasing income and not necessarily purpose. And God set me down. He set me down real hard. And so I lost the promotion. I mean, this is something that I was going after, like, it's teacher, department chair, assistant principal, board. Like, that's kind of the route that I was going. And I just feel like I was like, no, that's not what I have in store for you. And the process that I kind of went through, I probably could have avoided it if I would have just checked in with God first. But this book wouldn't have been a thing if I didn't. So I'm just really grateful that, I've had this opportunity to kind of unravel myself and learn more about what God has for me. Sorry. So to answer the question, it was just that moment for me was when I was pushing and pushing and pushing for something that God was like, that's not where I want you. And I've always had this mindset, God's favor goes before me. I'm a child of God. Anything I ask for, I get, but I wasn't raised to handle God's no. I had to do some self-learning on how to handle God's no.
Ooh, girl, no, see, you can't drop gems like that and think we're going to skate right on by that. Come on, I got to park right here because I felt that in my Sprite. Okay, I felt something leap inside that says stay there for a minute because there's someone listening. There's someone who's going to catch the replay who needs to hear, how did you get to that place where you learned? If it was something that you never learned as a child, right? It wasn't a part of your upbringing, but obviously you've learned it. What was that like for you?
It was devastating because I didn't know God could say no. I didn't know God could say no. I always had this mindset that if I lived right, if I asked God, he'll say yes. But I'm learning it's more about relationship, and relationship means checking in to see what he wants from me. If I said yes to living this out, I've got to check in and see how he designed my life. He created me. He knows me in and out, right? Yeah. And so it was really devastating. I am not a fast learner. So it took me 2 years to get it right. I'm so stubborn. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to keep going for this assistant principal position. And I got to a point where I just reached the end of myself. I said, you got it. You got it. Okay, so where is it that I'm supposed to go? Because I do believe that if you're in alignment with God, that there is favor that follows that. And I was not receiving favor in that area. So that told me God is saying no. So it was really hard to deal with, but I will tell you, and I know, I don't know if we'll get to it later, but I in all of the rejection that I got, I applied to 32 positions. I'm really grateful that God said no. I've had the opportunity to go back to those, schools, and I'm just really grateful that God has said no. There is a reason behind his no. Perhaps I'm not ready for it. Perhaps the climate is not ready to produce anything that he has on the inside of me. There's so many reasons behind his no. I don't need to know them all anymore.
Come on.
But yeah, there's always a reason behind it. And in the middle of that, nothing's ever wasted. So
nothing wasted.
Nothing.
Honey, you just gave me chills. I know somebody in their living room shouting right now. I know it because that is so powerful. Like you mentioned, us having relationship with God. Sometimes he just says no, and it's not to be mean or unfair. It truly is protection, or because there's something greater, right? And so I love that time, those 24 months, those 2 years, they were probably minutes to him, but such a learning and an unlearning journey for you. That is amazing. I hope somebody caught that. Drop that in the comments if that blessed you. Said yes, that was for me, sis. And somebody say Tima said that was for her. Go ahead and put those in the comments as well. You also said something that I caught. You said I ran out on myself. Is that what you said?
Oh, I came to the end of myself.
I came to the end of myself. Please explain that, because I feel like somebody in the room needs that as well.
Of course. Yeah. So I am real type A. I had 5-year plans. I still do vision boards, but I do them a little lightly now. But like, I'm really like, this is where I need to go. This is where I see myself. Like I'm a go-getter. But in this moment where I had a pivotal moment where I was literally like, I was set down, God literally set me down. And I came to a point where I realized I really am not in control. There's literally nothing that I can do to change the situation that I'm in. And at that point, I was like, I have come to the end of myself, because there is no human effort that I could put forth that can get me out of the situation that I was in. Only God could do it. And at that point, I think that was the beginning of my unraveling. Like it took me 2 years and I'm still unraveling, but that was the beginning of, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like this is something that God has to take control of.
Wow, that is so good. Thank you for sharing that. And look, y'all, we only on the first question, and I know y'all feeling good because I am over here like trying not to run around this room, because your experience was unraveling. Mine was a breaking. Nevertheless, the result, the outcome was God getting the glory and making us better. So I love that. All right, let's keep the interview going. I want people to be able to get all of that you have tonight for them. So let's move on to segment 2. I like to call this Between the Pages. This is when we're taking a deep dive into your lived experiences that really helped you to draft and create this manuscript. You mentioned navigating uncertainty, identity, and surrender in your book. Was there a specific moment of unraveling in your own life that served as a catalyst, in addition to what you just shared about the no's and the rejection, because God was redirecting you, not really rejecting you? But what did that breaking point teach you about trusting God's timing? Because you just mentioned you are grateful for all of his no's. What was that aha moment? Like, you know what? I see what you was doing. I'm so glad you did it your way.
Yeah, I've heard a pastor say that God's timing is his kindness. And it didn't make sense to me until I lived it. So there were several moments throughout the journey where, like, beyond losing the promotion, I was placed, at a different school, and having to navigate that was very different, because sometimes the treatment you get when you're placed versus when you're hired, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, if I go through the interview process and, they wanted me versus a placement, is like, why were you placed? So there was some treatment that I was experiencing in the middle of that, still trying to pursue what I thought was God's plan for my life. And as I mentioned before, having applied to all those positions and like nothing, absolutely nothing. It just was like, wow. And so the way everything unfolded, and I think one of the reasons why I really wanted to write this book, first, I love to journal. So since I was a kid, I've been writing a diary. Now I just kind of journal. I have my daily office with God, and I just kind of journal my thoughts. But I love journaling. And as I went through the process, I journaled the entire process. And the way God turned it for me, I was like, oh, this got to be documented, because so to kind of give some context, educators, we go by our fiscal years go by July 1st to June 30th of the next year. So because I was not getting a promotion, I was faced with a demotion, which is an embarrassment. If I can be honest, that is an embarrassment. So just to kind of give a little bit more context, I was an assistant principal, but I was an 11-month assistant principal, and I was pursuing 12 months just because financially that was becoming a thing. I'm a single mom, and so I just really wanted steady income. And so I was going to get demoted to a 10-month position. I was almost there. Like I was working in the last hour. I always joke and say he was on Nigerian time, but like he really made me wait 2 full years to get to where I am now. And so like literally up to the last day of school that year, people were asking me, where are you going? You know, what job did you get? You know, as humble as I could say, I have no clue, but God is in control. Like that, there's a level of embarrassment there. But I had to go into work joy-filled and, you know, I had to go do my job, regardless of how I felt about, you know, my status. But I believe you know, a colleague of mine sent me a job position, wasn't looking for it at all. And then I interviewed, and I believe I got the job on June 29th, and I did a job by July 1st. And so I was like, this needs to be documented because I'm sure there are other people who are waiting, right? This is the whole idea of submitting our timelines, because I gave God a timeline. I need a job by March because I was giving God timelines and all this. And God was like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And when I do it, I'm going to do it suddenly. And sure enough, did it suddenly. And so I got the job 2 days before the day that I really needed to make sure that, you know, steady income was coming in. So
come on, somebody.
Yes, when they say God's timing is his kindness, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, come on, somebody. That was no, because what hit home for me is the suddenly. He is a God of the suddenly. And it seems, or let me say this, it seems sudden to us and to others, but he was already working it out for our good the whole time. There are always breadcrumbs that God will leave and show you where his hand is at work. And one of my good girlfriends, Tiffany, I got to give her credit, Tiffany Bethia said, learn to praise God for his hand. He's involved. So even if you can't see what's happening, I can't always see what my mom used to be doing in the kitchen, but I saw her hands moving. And we got to start looking at God that way. Be grateful for where you notice and recognize his hand in your life. Ooh, that is so good. I hope y'all are eating this up. If this is blessing you, go ahead and drop a book or gem in the comments. Go ahead and leave some hearts and some stars, all the things that really help to push this algorithm so we can get this in front of more people, because this is powerful and this is blessing me. All right, we're going to move on to segment 3. We're doing really great on time, so we'll be able to hear more from you. Segment 3 is called Turning the Pages. This is really a deeper dive into your book, Unraveling. Your book is deeply faith-centered, which I love. Okay, come on, somebody. And includes guided journal prompts and prayer starters. You mentioned being a journaler. There are so many people who don't realize or recognize how therapeutic and healthy it is. So I absolutely love that you put those prompts in there. But getting to my question, why was it important for you to not just share your reflections, but to create an active, participatory kind of experience for the reader? How did you hope that they would feel when they completed a journaling session with your book?
Of course. I feel like we are so busy. Like we are living in a world that is just so busy. There's just so much going on. And so my hope is that the reader who reads, you know, there are some avid readers who are reading while they're on the train or reading while they're at home, but you really need to pause and reflect on what you're reading. So I intentionally put journal prompts in. One, because as I mentioned, I love to journal. I could fill out a journal prompt all day. Like whatever gets me thinking, whatever gets all the thoughts out of my head is what I will, entertain. And so I really hope that the readers can, indulge in the journal prompts and really take the time to reflect on how, my story resonates with theirs. I think one of the things that I have come to realize over the past years is that our stories might not be the same. They're similar. They're, no story, every story is unique, I should say. but they're very similar. Like,
Mhm.
somebody might be going through something one way and another person's going through something similar the other way, and God is still working.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times we're tricked to believe that we are isolated, or that we're going through, what we're going through all by ourselves. But you would be
Mhm.
so surprised, the more you talk to people, the more you realize, oh, we are all kind of going through similar challenges. And
Yeah.
so my story, although it might not be somebody else's story, the themes of it, I'm hoping, can resonate with the reader so that they can then take the journal prompts and reflect on how it resonates with their particular life. So I try to
Mhm.
keep the questions real general. I try to gear the questions so that they can see how God is moving in their life. So you mentioned like
Yeah.
hand, like I share how God's hand was moving in my life, but I want them
Mhm.
to reflect on how it's moving in their life. So I'm really hoping that when they look at, read the text, go through the journal prompts, I really want them to feel refreshed. I want them to have a moment where they're gaining some sense of revelation. And I
Mhm.
just really want them to like really truly connect. The book also ends with prayer starters. So after you've had the journal prompts, you can, read the prayer starter and then you continue the prayer if you'd like. But I took a little note from David and I wrote some really authentic prayers. Like, God,
Mm.
I don't like how this feels. What are you
Mm.
doing? I
Yeah.
feel like that some people feel a little uncomfortable having that kind of conversation with God. And so
Mhm.
I'm hoping that the journal prompts and that the prayer starters will get them a little bit more loose. God is not that strict. Like, he can handle your thoughts.
Right.
I really want to encourage them to really encounter God the way I've encountered him.
I love that. And when you were writing out the prompts, were they prompts that you yourself used within those 2 years as you were waiting on God, or were they prompts that you felt in your heart someone's going to need reading this?
There were more so prompts that I felt like readers would need.
Love
So
that.
because I had already journaled all my thoughts, and so the educator in me couldn't help but to go through the text and say, this is a theme I really want to highlight in this chapter. So let me make
Mhm.
sure that the reader is like really honing in on that particular point throughout the chapter.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they're customized and tailored for those who would reach for unraveling. I absolutely love that. One more question on the journaling prompts, because this is just important to me as someone who is constantly trying to teach people how to release through writing. When you were journaling and documenting your own experience, not realizing it would one day be a book to bless someone else, but when you journal, how did you get your own vulnerability to kick in, right? Because like you said, I think the way we do in prayer is the same way we do in journaling. Put our
Mhm.
best self forward. And it's like, actually, God and your journal wants the messy you, the broken you, the angry you, the frustrated you. You know what I mean? The heartbroken you.
Mhm.
How did you pull yourself out of the assistant principal chasing this trajectory to this broken vessel? God, I need you to step in right now. What was that transition like?
So I do have to give credit to Pastor Darius Daniels.
That's my pastor. Go ahead.
Oh, awesome. I'm laughing because if any of my friends are watching this, they are going to just like fall apart because I honestly cannot have a conversation without talking about him. But he did a series, Managing Meltdowns.
Mhm.
And that series, exactly,
Mhm.
that series, the timing of that series was just so on time. I cannot express how on time it was. It came right at the end of me having lost my promotion, having sat with myself for 8 weeks. I did not work for 8 weeks.
Mm.
And so I was just like in this funk. And then he taught managing meltdowns, and he taught about like how all the biblical characters experience all these emotional meltdowns. And that really released me to like really like say, God, what's up? Like,
Mhm.
what is happening? What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
I was raised to say, don't question God. And I think that scripture is not, or thought is out of context. I think it's safe
Mhm.
to ask God, like, can you just tell me a little bit about what's happening? Like, can
Right.
you show me what I'm supposed to be learning in this season?
Mhm.
And so after watching that series, I started that process. And then I started to get a little bit more serious in reading my Bible. And then I read the book of Psalms. And if David can say all the things that he said, I'm okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that I'm taking from pastors, I'm taking from the Bible, and I'm acknowledging the fact that God wired me to be human. He
Yes.
wired me with emotions, and my role now is to give that to Him, and He can take
Mhm.
that. He doesn't want me to pretend, so I'm not going to pretend.
Mm.
Pretending didn't work. So I'm going to give Him my most authentic and raw thoughts, and He can handle it. And I'll be
Mhm. Amen to that. I absolutely love that. And shout out to Pastor Darius Daniels. He always has some of the best series. One of my favorites to this day is Goated. If you have not seen it, go get it. It's on YouTube. It will bless you.
Mhm.
But I absolutely love that you kind of talked yourself into versus talking yourself out of. And I love that for us, giving ourselves permission to be human. One of the things I remember the Holy Spirit said to me, this was probably years ago when I was going through my own genesis of my healing journey. He said, your feelings are not flawed. What you do with them is. And I was like, oh, okay. So in other words, there's nothing wrong with the way
Mhm.
I feel. It's what I do with the way I feel that is flawed. Whether
Right.
that's taking that anger and punching somebody in the face, or taking that, you know what I'm saying, that frustration and taking it out on people that I say I love. Like,
Mhm.
it's not how you feel, but what you do with how you feel that is flawed. And
Yeah.
so thank you for sharing that. I really hope that blesses someone. If you are enjoying this, make sure that you share this so that someone can be blessed by this replay. And definitely make sure that you're showing love in the comments. All right, it is time for us to move on to the blank pages.
Mhm.
You talk about fully embracing the process of becoming who God has called you to be in each season. I, I'm gonna come back to that. As you look at the blank pages of your next chapter, both as an author and as a coach and as a mom, what is the message or mission you are currently stepping into yourself?
Yeah, so I shocked myself last year, I think, because again, we live in our school years. I live by school years, so I really shocked myself when I kind of I didn't necessarily stop pursuing things. I just more so checked in with God.
Mhm.
Lots of opportunities have come my way, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, you should go for this," because they see qualities in me, and I'm so grateful that they see these qualities in me. But
Mhm.
I think that I'm at a stage now where it's like I can't let people direct my path. Like I got to check in with God, because last time I did that, I crashed out all the things. So I believe the message for me now is to really just be in alignment. Like I have a word every year. At the end of every year, I ask God what my word is for the upcoming year, and so my word this year is alignment.
Mhm.
And before I do anything now, I'm trying to make it a practice to just kind of check in. And I'm literally praying like, so God, you know how you shut those other doors? Like go ahead and shut that door if you don't want me to, go through that process. And if God
Right.
has shut it, like I'm not at a place where I'm crying anymore. Like when He shuts it, I'm just
Mhm.
like, okay, you got it, you know. Now
Mm.
I've not really pursued anything huge, right? But like
Yeah.
the things that He's not permitted in the past year, I'm just like, okay, that's fine. You know what's best for me. Like that's kind of
Mhm.
where I am in this journey now. And so I just feel like I'm going to continue this unraveling process. I do feel like in the past year, God has started to show me where He's kind of, pivoting. Like, He's kind of steering me this way. And I'm
Mhm.
loving it, actually. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
While I'm no longer in the schools, it
Mhm.
broke my heart that I'm no longer in the schools, and God knew that, and perhaps that's why He gave me the 2 years to grieve it.
Yeah.
And then also, I did want to share that he right before everything happened, He directed me to Exodus. I studied the book of Exodus.
Mm.
I saw some things that were resonating with my life, so I was like, okay, He's preparing me to like exit the school building, not necessarily
Wow.
education, but I could sense He was preparing me to leave. Um,
Mhm.
the school building. I think He's taking me step by step to leave
Mhm.
education altogether. I'm not quite ready for the education part yet. But I can definitely see where He's steering me. And I'm so grateful that He's steering me that way, because I'm interested in, so the role I have now, I kind of do a lot of professional learning.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying it. I'm absolutely enjoying it. I thought I wasn't going to. Like, I'm the type of person I need to interact with the child, but I'm enjoying the break. It's
That
fine.
is awesome. Yeah, that is so amazing. And where I stopped myself because I said, you know what, I'll just pose this as a follow-up question. Um, in your book, you talk about embracing the process of becoming who God has called us to be in each season.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you like what that did for me reading that piece because
Mm-hmm.
I think we have this habit of repeating what sounds good. And so we all start to focus on becoming as if it's this final destination. Only once we can achieve it. If you miss the mark, ooh, shame on you. But I love the reframe that
Mm-hmm.
you give us that it's becoming who God wants you to be in that season. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you explain that a little bit more? And not just from a personal perspective, but what would you encourage other people to do with that information? Like, just be who God wants you to be in this season. Don't worry about, the lifetime yet.
Right, right. So I'm still kind of doing some studying on purpose versus calling, but I've always had an understanding that purpose is your solution. When I was growing up, they would say, "Oh, your birth is a solution to a problem. That's your purpose," right? And so like that's kind of how I understand purpose. But calling is seasonal, right? So in
Mm.
one moment, I was a teacher. My purpose was to educate. I was a
Mhm.
math teacher, so my purpose was to educate. The next season of my life, my purpose was to lead, or my calling was to lead other educators. So I was a
Mhm.
department chair, leading a math team, which is a whole thing in education because math and English are the top two content
Mhm.
areas, right? So that I learned so much in that season, and
Mhm.
then I think the part where I may have missed God was when I kind of went into that season of becoming an assistant principal. I share in my book
Mhm.
that when I became the 11-month assistant principal, I
Mhm.
was rejoicing, but I felt a grief. It was so
Mm.
weird, and I
Wow.
was young, so I didn't really like pay attention to it. But now I
Mhm.
think in hindsight, I kind of understand. Like God was like, "I'm gonna let you go through this, but you're gonna see why you don't want this."
Right.
I really feel like God was like, "Go ahead and do this," but I'm telling you, this is not what you want. But I'm still gonna use
Mhm.
it anyway, and that's fine. And so, I definitely think now I'm in a season where I'm becoming this professional learning person who is like developing other adults, whether it be personally, especially as a
Mhm.
coach, or whether it be professionally in my work that I do. And I see him like I see it when people are randomly coming to me and saying, "Oh, I use this in my coaching session, or I use this in my lesson," and I'm just like, I was just doing what I thought was best. Like
Mhm.
signs to me that there's favor there, God's
Yeah.
favor there. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean by like becoming in that whatever specific season. And I believe that when that season is up, God is going to elevate me. Right? Everything is glory to glory. So wherever that leads me, I'm excited.
That is amazing. That is so good. I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna have to come back and watch this replay myself because I'm trying to engineer and listen and ask questions. But this is so good and really ministering to me. So thank you for this. All right, we've reached our final segment. It is called the final pages for the women listening today and the gentlemen. I don't want to exclude our men. So the women and the men listening today who feels like he or she is currently in a season of intense pressure, uncertainty, unraveling. What is one encouraging truth you want him or her to hold on to today?
Yeah, there's more than one, but
As
um,
many as you want to give.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest one for me is nothing is ever wasted. Man, nothing is ever wasted. I feel like when we go through these seasons, we literally cannot see the end. It's like, what are you doing? And then we always kind of get to that point where it's just like, okay, maybe I should start planning something on my own, right? Especially if you're so faith filled and you were raised in the church and you just know God is coming through. Again, it goes back to that I feel we weren't really trained on how to handle God's no.
Mhm.
I just I want the reader or the listener or the viewer to know that everything you're going through is for the sake of development. It's
Mhm.
for the sake of God just trying to, like I said, develop something in you so that when it's time to release you, you will be ready and positioned to get to where you're going. And
Mhm.
so I definitely want to encourage, the viewer that nothing is wasted with God. Absolutely nothing. He is using every single thing. And if you feel like you've wasted time, God is using that too. A lot of times I'm just like, well, if I'm now in, like, I like work in central office, I'm not teaching math. So I'm like,
Right.
well, I spend 4 years, taking a degree in math. Right. And I feel like a lot of times we might feel like we've wasted money. We've wasted God is absolutely working it out. God is absolutely using everything. And when it comes, it will come quickly, it will come suddenly, and it will come immediately. That was literally my prayer point when I was studying through Exodus, because that's one of the things I noticed. Like he was doing things, taking his time, getting things set. And when it was time to go, they had to pack up and go. Like, forever for them. But when it was time, and the time will come. So just get fast.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is so good, because you and I are definitely twin souls. That is one of my favorite things to tell people. Nothing is wasted in God. Nothing. He repurposes everything. He uses everything for his glory and for our good. There, like you said, there is no experience, there's no investment, there's nothing you've done, there's nothing you've learned, there's nothing you've contributed that did not plant seeds. And that is a thing. I learned to look at harvest differently. I learned to look at seed time and sowing and then reaping and harvest completely different. We were always taught from more of a prosperity standpoint, like, oh, put your seed in the ground and pray over it. No. Put your seed in the ground, walk away, do work, and come back, because it's going to produce something for you later. And so I absolutely love that. This has been such an amazing conversation. I hope that all of our gems and gents who are able to catch this live or catch this replay, that it's blessing you, that it's encouraging you, and that you are running to either Amazon or her website or wherever. She's about to give you that information in a minute, to get this book and get this journal and this companion. I really look at it as a companion on your journey. So Dayo, how can people, one, connect with you? How can they connect with you beyond tonight's conversation? Where can they purchase their book, and what's next for you?
Awesome. So I am on Instagram. That's how they can connect with me, at Journey Together LC. So I can be reached there. Also, the book can be purchased on Amazon or on Ingram Spark. Or you can visit my website, www.theunravelingexp.com. There you'll find more information about me. That's how people can book me to speak, or you can get more information about my book. Yes. What's next? I'm hoping to, I'm really excited about what God is doing. I am hoping to just kind of get out there as it relates to like speaking in conferences or getting speaking engagements. I see that door opening already in the education field. And so now I'm just hoping it would open on the other side, on the personal development, spiritual development part. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. And so listen, if y'all are interested, not just in receiving a copy of her book, go ahead and go to her website so that you can get that good old autograph copy. Okay, let's go ahead and sow directly into the work that she's done. Love Amazon and all the other distributors. It's amazing that they have these spaces for independent authors, but there's nothing like clicking directly on her website and purchasing that book from her own heart and hands. So give them that website one more time, Dayo.
Sure. www.theunravelingexp.com.
All right, y'all better go ahead and get that, write it down. Somebody go ahead and drop it in the comments for the people who won't be late to the episode. Make sure that it's in there, and y'all go directly to that site and purchase the book. But if Amazon's easier, I understand, you can grab it there as well. If you are interested in booking Dayo for a speaking opportunity, speaking engagement, you want her to come to your book club because y'all are reading this as a collective. If you want her to talk to your women's ministry, your students, any educators that need some encouragement at the conference, y'all go ahead to that same website so that you can learn more on how to book her. Dayo, it has been such a pleasure to exchange tonight with you, or to exchange with you tonight. I have thoroughly enjoyed this dialogue, this conversation. I know people are going to be blessed and inspired by your words. Thank you for your journey. I've learned so much from you, not just in this conversation, but even in prior exchanges. Is there any last minute things you want to share before we close out the show?
Ooh. I really just I want everyone to just remain encouraged. I definitely think that we're living in times that are just completely different than what we were raised in, right? And life can get really discouraging. I think that when you see things that are happening on the outside, and then you have your own things happening in your own home, it can get discouraging really quick. And so I just really want to encourage every single person who's watching to just really stay steadfast. God is still in control. God knows exactly, what is happening. I always try to call him by his names, right? He's Elroy E. He's the God who sees. So you are going through something that is like terribly like personal to you, and you feel like you are at the end of your rope, I just want to encourage you that that is exactly where God wants you to be. He wants you to be at the end of yourself so that he can carry you and unravel you from there.
I love that. I hope that blessed y'all tonight. Listen, thank you for joining us for this conversation. Come back because we have more on Behind the Pages podcast. A reminder, if you are interested in being on this platform, sharing your narrative story, sharing your book, sharing your projects, whatever you're working on in the independent literary space, we would love to have you here. And until next time, continue to write your story one healing page at a time. Good night, y'all.
Good night.